the imposter syndrome never goes away, but that's okay.
Jamie Kenna is a British actor and former semi-professional footballer. He's known for his roles in movies Children of Men, London to Brighton, Green Street and Gran Turismo, and as well as a huge number of TV credits. In the UK, he's a very well-known face from playing series regular Phil Whittaker in Coronation Street, UK's longest-running serial drama. But things have gone up a gear, and now he's playing an exciting part in the second season of Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon.
Naturally, seek relief and retribution.
Let's find out more.
Every single other actor, whatever the level, however many Oscars people have won, they've all lost jobs. They've all missed out. You get what's yours. I've been waiting for this job for 20 odd years, but this is Phil's next level, and then that's sort of cemented when you end up in those situations. And you've got to acknowledge that. You've got to enjoy that.
Welcome everyone to the WeAudition Show, and today we are joined by Jamie Kenna. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you very much for having me. Hello guys, how are you all?
How you doing, Jamie?
Very good, thank you. Jamie, you've just come back from a massive premiere in New York, haven't you? Tell us about that. How did that feel?
I can't remember any of it. I'm so jet lagged. I don't know what's going on. So no, it was amazing. What an experience to walk the red or green carpet, as it was in New York. It was a real tick box, a real kind of pinch me surreal moment. To do that at the Manhattan Center was phenomenal. Yeah, phenomenal.
So what was it? What was it the premiere for? It was a big TV series. It's just going to be released now, isn't it?
House of the Dragon. Yeah, big TV series, HBO. I've got the London premiere on Monday, and that was the New York one. So it comes out in New York on the 16th, I think, and then it's the day after in London. So that was the big screening of that. Well, one episode of it anyway.
Jamie, what's that like to be, you've done work for years, you've got hundreds of credits, but this seems like next level, does it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for definite. I think I'm supposed to play it cool in these situations and pretend that it's all run of the mill, but it's not. I've been waiting for this job for 20 odd years. I've been working and fighting to get this opportunity for a long, long time. And I've had some great opportunities, and we'll discuss that. But yeah, this is, it feels next level, and then that's sort of cemented when you end up in those situations. And you've got to acknowledge that. You've got to enjoy that. I don't think you can let those pass by pretending that, like I said, to play it cool. You've got to stand back and go, wow, look at where I am, and have plenty of check-in moments with yourself, because we work very hard as actors and we set dreams and goals and ambitions. And when you start to tick some of them off, you've got to acknowledge that, and you've got to enjoy that and immerse yourself in it.
Well done, you. That's really impressive. And how do you manage to stay mentally with it? Because it's 20 odd years, you've said you've been hammering at it.
Yeah.
How do you stay with it? How do you manage to look after yourself and stay with it? Because some people will give up.
Yeah, well, they do. And I understand that. I totally understand that. And I'd be lying if I said I haven't reached points myself where you go, I can't do this anymore. And I think it's just, you've got to keep that drive. You've got to keep that passion that when you're, a starry-eyed, fresh out of drama school student, or if you go to drama school, don't go to drama school, when you set out on this journey and you've got all these huge ambitions and, you're convinced it's going to happen, and slowly but surely you get knockbacks, and it's not so much knockbacks, but it's experience. You get toughened up. It's like playing guitar. I play guitar, and the ends of my fingers are really tough. And when I first started playing, they used to blister and all that. You got to play through that. So then you get to the enjoyable stuff. And then when you can finally play the songs you want to play, like I said, you've got to stay back and go, I'm really pleased that I persevered. And that's what it is. And you just got to keep that fire alight. And for me, it's natural. There's things you learn along the way, and there's, resilience you learn along the way, and you start to get a handle on how the business works, and not to set yourself up to fail as much. Because it's not so much the rejection. I was discussing this. I had an interview the other day, and they said, how do you deal with the rejection? I said, it's not really the rejection that you have to deal with. It's the lack of it, that I find really difficult. If I walked into a room and they said, no, you're too tall, or we're looking for someone with dark hair, or do you know what? You didn't read that very well. I would sulk for 10 minutes, get a coffee or a beer, and I'd move on with my life, but I'd be able to draw a line under it. It's the ghosting and the lack of rejection that's the hardest. When you go in a room and they go, oh my God, you're amazing. That was incredible. You've nailed it. We'll see you on set. And then nothing. And then you put the TV on and it's like, hold on a minute. I think I auditioned for that. That's the hard bit. That's the bit that you've got to learn, to deal with. And not take that personally. I think that was a big turning point for me, is it's not about you. It's about they're trying to put together a picture. And this is stuff you learn through experience. They're trying to put together their picture of their production, whatever that will be. They see it a certain way. They might cast someone that they're certain on, and then they've got to fit that around that person. So you've got no say in that, and you can't alter that. There's nothing you can do. All you can do is go and present what you present, and the rest of it is down to them and fate and luck and whatever else is in the mixing bowl.
Do you feel really confident these days that you're doing good work then? Because I think a lot of actors at the start of their careers, they're second guessing themselves. There might be some imposter syndrome. And then most people at some point you find that they reach this place where they go, no, I am good. I'm going to do my best work. And then I'm going to leave it at the door for that puzzle to happen. Is that how you feel now? And if you do, when did you start to feel that? Was there a moment or a job that made you feel that way?
Really good question. And I think it's the imposter syndrome never goes away, particularly for me. Oh. I'm a working class boy that, kind of took a punt. So I always think someone's going to tap me on the shoulder, but that's okay. And I think it's about accepting that and appreciating that. And exactly as you say, I think I make decisions now. I saw a thing from Bryan Cranston. I don't know if you've seen it. I was
thinking of actually. I was thinking of that when I asked that question.
When he said about the gun.
Yeah, and I thought about that this morning because I knew I was coming on here, and I thought, shall I mention Bryan Cranston or shall I try and pass this off as my own advice? But I think he's such a legend that I have to reference him. So he said, and this wasn't a turning point for me. I already was doing this, I think, or certainly leading to this way of thinking. But he said, your job is not to go and get the job. Your job is never to get the job. Your job is to present your version of what you think, and that's exactly what I'm saying. If you start trying to second guess what they want, how they want it, you're not giving a performance that is true to you. If you give 10 actors the same script, you'll get 10 different reads, or at least 8 different reads. And that's the beauty. And that's the great thing about actors. That's what we do. We bring our own spark to it. We have our own interpretation, and that's a joyous thing. And that's what makes us all so brilliant and clever. So you can't second guess anything. All you can do is go, right, this is how I see it. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what I offer. And if you cast me, this is what I'm going to bring. And then once you've done that, it's out of your hands. So I think having kids changed a lot for me, because it became less about me and it became more about, especially when I had the second one, because it's now about literally putting food on the table, paying the bills. So it stripped my ego away a little bit. So I took it less personally, because I just went, whatever. And once you start going, whatever, that doesn't mean you don't care. I care as much now as I did 22 years ago when I left drama school, but there's other factors in play, and it's not about just me and my ego. So once you start doing that, and then once you go, and also I think, I think I turned the corner and went, I'm a decent actor. I've survived at this level. I've always worked at a high level. And again, it's that ownership of not playing it cool and not trying to be too polite and too British about it. Go, I'm a decent actor. I've survived at this level for a long time. I've worked at a high level. I've been re-employed. There's a lot in that. It's a difficult game. It's a really, really difficult game. So you got to pat yourself on the back. And I make decisions and go, that's what I do.
How do you do that when you're going through? Sorry, when you're preparing a role, you're married to an actor as well, aren't you? Do you do lots of work before you put it on tape, or do you sort of workshop it on tape and do a few different versions, or how do you go through that process? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I try. Do you know what? It's funny with auditions, and I do less work, because I think that's quite an important thing, because I think you've got to leave something. You've got to leave an air of mystery. Do enough work to present what you're going to do. So have a real think about the character, but often you don't know the full journey. If you get a TV script or whatever, House of the Dragon was one, especially NDAs when you're up for something like House of the Dragon, where they don't even send you the real script. So you can't possibly do as much work as you want. You're working off a dummy script. And so you just sort of give and the first round will be looks and whatever else. So yeah, I do enough work and I learn it. I always try and make sure I learn it. I think that's a really simple thing, and it sounds simple, but I know some people don't. They have the script taped up or whatever, but for me, just learn it, because as soon as you're off book and anything, you can bring something else to it. You're not trying to think about reading lines or holding scripts. You can be free. And once you're free, that's when you can start to play. And when actors play, that's when we're at our best. So that's it really. Yeah. And I'm very lucky because Claire's an actor. She's good and I trust her instincts as well. So she can give me notes to a certain extent.
What's it like? Are you ever competitive, or do you ever have moments where you're looking at each other's career thinking, I wish my career was there? Or because I know a lot of people listening, they might be in relationships with actors that have to deal with that sort of almost, in-house competition with someone that's nothing like them.
It's really difficult. I've had my moments with her. Not that I could ever play Gwendolyn in The Importance of Being Earnest, but I won't lie. Claire's a very beautiful woman, a brilliant actress, and has been doing this since she was a kid. The business is letting her down. Like she's struggling, really, really struggling, and she handles it exceptionally well. I'm on the up. I've been doing some amazing work, and this is, the House of the Dragon thing's great. So it's hard for her to see that happening, and when she's got this frustration and desperation herself, and she totally deserves everything that I'm getting as well. It's just the business isn't fair and it doesn't work like that. But she handles it exceptionally well. If it was the other way around, I think I would struggle a lot more than she does. And that's not because you don't, and it's not about you don't support or want the best for your partner. It's that personal thing. It's that internal, and I joke about Gwendolyn, the importance of being earnest. She genuinely did that. And I was out of work at the time and I got grumpy. And it's like, what am I getting grumpy about? It's nothing to do with me, but it's your ego. It's you taking it personally, and it's not personal. But
and as you say, it's so hard to know, isn't it, what the secret sauce is? You see a lot of people out there touting the 5 secrets to booking guest stars, or this is the one thing you have to do, or if you meditate daily. But as you've explained in this interview so far, there's many different bits of chemistry at play that you can't like attribute it to one thing or another, which could be, it might be that she rises in the next year and you take a fall, it's not predictable at all, is it?
It's completely unpredictable. And I think the other thing that happens when you get older and you last a bit longer and you keep, that resilience, it is easier to be happier for your friends and family and stuff. It is easier. I know Richard, me and Richard have worked together, and, he's very bitter and twisted. He's the most bitter and twisted actor. No, and so you genuinely, and he's texted me and said, "Oh, this is great," and he texted me the other day about the premiere.
Oh, it's awesome! I'm so pleased for you.
Exactly, so it's genuine, and it's. I think you do get to that point where you can start to go, yeah. There's a little bit of. There was one point where I couldn't watch TV or go to the theatre. Like genuinely, I was that hung up on it. And I couldn't go to watch it. I couldn't objectively watch a show without going, why am I not in that? Why I could play that. I could play that. Now I can honestly go to the theatre and just watch it. And if I'm not in it, I'm not in it. Like, it's okay. And interestingly, I went to see a show the other day called Dear England, which is on in the West End. And a friend of mine, Paul Thornley, was in it and playing a part I could definitely have played. And soccer is my background. And I was sitting there going, why was I not seen for this? Like, it's football and acting. They're my two passions combined. That's where me and Richard differ. And I'm sitting there going, but it was my mate Paul. So I did watch the show and I was like, he was brilliant and he was great. And I was like, good luck to him. And then we did a corporate job a few weeks later and I went, and he knew I was there. And I said, I thought you were great, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out he auditioned for my part in House of the Dragon.
See, look at that. Wow. Yeah. So what was right for you was right for you, and what was right for him was right for him, right?
That's it. And do you know what? I had such a lovely feeling. I was like, thank God I didn't sit in that theatre getting bitter and twisted and grumpy and why not me, blah, blah, blah. I just was able to go, good luck to him. There was a little part of me going, why didn't they see me for it? But that's natural. You've got to keep that alive. You got to keep that competitive nature, but it can't overwhelm you. It can't take over.
Well, I guess this play is on a run right now. So if you did do the play, you wouldn't have been able to have this great experience in New York that you just had, right?
That's the other thing.
You can't do both. Yeah. I think when you come at it from a place of abundance, which would be hard for someone listening at home that is not getting a lot of auditions or not getting a lot of work, it's hard to come at it from that place of abundance. But actually, I think many steps below that is just this place of comfortability. If you've been in the game long enough, you know, even if there's a dry spell, you're going to book over months or over years. And so over time, you're booking regularly. That's something I've learned with my career. I don't work all the time, far from it. But over the years, I work regularly. And that's what keeps me 100%. In the game. You know what I mean? It's that long view.
The one thing you have in common, we all have it, all actors have in common with every single other actor, whatever the level, whether it's the top echelons, you've all lost out on loads of jobs. All of us. For every one job you get, you've lost 10, 20, 30, like every single one of us. You know, however many Oscars people have won, they've all lost jobs. They've all missed out. You always hear these stories of, oh, do you know who was meant to be the original so-and-so? That's part of it. And you just have to know that everyone's on the same journey, and it will all even itself out. Like, you'll get what is exactly what you just said. You'll get what's yours, and you've got to, and that's, you know, and I'm not sitting here on some pedestal and on some moral high ground going, it's all easy now and I deal with it. I don't. Like, it's hard, but it's part of it. It's part of it. It comes as the big mix. And I don't think it's really something at drama school they can teach you. They can mention it. It just comes with experience, and it comes with, it's a bit like, so look at it from a mental health perspective, you know, or anxiety or whatever. That stuff, it consumes you. I've suffered, and it used to consume me because I suffered in silence and thought I was the only one and didn't know what was happening to me. As soon as you speak out and you go, I'm struggling, the amount of people that turn around and go, yeah, me too. And when they say that, it automatically cuts the problem in half. You go, it's not just me. When you know, that's why this podcast, that's why you guys doing this thing is brilliant and so worthwhile. And I hope you get loads of people on here, because it's that thing that this is a reach out. This is a reach out to all other actors who are sitting there, whatever level you're at. We're all in the same boat, and we're all brilliant, and we all bring something so unique to the world. But it's really hard to deal with the baggage that comes with that. But you've got to keep hacking away through that. You know, and you asked me at the beginning of the podcast, you know, what do I do? And that's what I do. I just keep hacking away.
Well, part of that baggage is what creates the characters, isn't it? We need emotions in order to play full human beings, right? Yeah, absolutely. And my House of the Dragon story is I lost that job. So Richard doesn't know that. And so I did a take. I got called in to the room, and I went up, and a couple of people came over from America, from HBO, and there was like a Zoom call, and there was a few people in LA, a few people in New York. There was a big deal. Kate Rose James was the casting director. There wasn't many people outside the room. It was very exclusive. It's a good part. So, and normally I go in there and crack too many jokes and I'm annoying, and you walk away going, oh no. But actually I went in and it went as well as it possibly could. I was in there for about an hour, chatting away, laughing, joking. I read it 2-3 times and took all the notes, and I nailed it. Casting director came out, hugged me, said it was great. So I left going, I think I've got that. I think this is actually going to happen. You know, I've been so many near misses, which you always get. And week went past, didn't hear anything. It was like 10 days. And then my agent called and went, it's a no. No feedback, no nothing. It's a no. They're going to keep looking. And I was devastated, like absolutely devastated. And I did that. I'm like, I'm giving up. I can't do this anymore. Toys went out the pram, you know. So Monday, the next day came and whatever, my agent called, and I started to pick myself back up again, as I've always done, you know, start to sort of walk again, to put one foot in front of the other. A couple of weeks went past. I was in a meeting for something else. I came out. I was outside Finsbury Park tube station. My agent called. It'd been going on for a week. I didn't know any of this because she didn't want me to have, I quote, you're an emotional bear and I didn't want to poke you. So she said, I wanted to make sure, but she said they've come back around and they want you. And do you know what changed it?
Wow.
Well, apparently one person saw it, just wanted to keep looking. It was like a whole group and everyone was like, here's our guy. I was like, yeah, we want Jamie. There was one person going, well, I don't know. And I burst into tears outside Finsbury Park Tube Station, like genuinely. So I knew how much I wanted it. I lost it, and then I got it back, which made it, So there are good fortune stories.
If you'd like to join the WeAudition community, go to weaudition.com/show to get 25% off. Now, back to the show.
Those stories are less rare than you think. We have an actress coming on the podcast in a couple of weeks, and she has a story. She'll probably share it with us, where she came in for an audition, flew to America for the test, for the chemistry test, then got told no, it didn't go your way, and was flying back home. And then she called me a couple of hours later, being like, actually, I'm flying straight to Canada. They gave me the part again. Wow. And she did 3 years on that series. She didn't even go home in between. They flew straight from LA to Canada. And the reason is the girl that they cast, they went into the table read, and this girl's personality was wild, like literally throwing a table across the room wild, not in character, but in just that was how she was. And everyone was like, wait, we've picked the wrong person. We can't work with this person.
Oh, wow.
So this person did a good audition and then threw the toys out of the pram, literally. And they changed their mind. You never know what, in that sense. I had a job once where I was the COVID choice. Still did the job. Right. Yeah, the other guy got COVID.
COVID cover. Yeah, I've done a COVID cover. And you sit there in a hotel and you just wait, and then you go home. You get a few £100 for waiting.
Oh no, I was the opposite. I got told I didn't get it, and then I got called the next day saying, actually, the guy that got it got COVID. Can you come in?
Oh, poor guy. Great for you.
Poor guy. Great for me. I did the job. Yeah, so it's crazy. So Jamie, for someone that is at the level where you is coming up to the level where you were just at, right? You got this big premiere in London. Let's say it's my first time ever going to that. Talk me through the process. Like, did they send you a car to the airport? Did they put you up in a nice hotel? Do you know what your time is on the red carpet? Tell us about that whole process, start to finish, about doing that premiere. Did you have a PR person? Did anyone prep you?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because I've been to premieres before. I've done stuff where I've done the red carpet and that before, but I think when you're, let's say, further up the call sheet, you get, it's a little bit more involved, and it's been a real learning curve for me on this. So yes, I've engaged some PR, and styling is the one thing that has been the big surprise for me. How many? Because I've always just, you just wear what you wear. I've been to like the soap awards and stuff, for example, and they put you up and they drive you, take you in a car and stuff, but no one really told me what to wear. But HBO wanted me to be styled, so help arrange some styling and stuff.
Did they send you a stylist, or do you have to pay for it yourself? How's it work?
So my publicist organised that, so via HBO, and then she found the stylist over here who styled me for London as well. And then she contacts brands and see if they want to, what they want to lend and so on. And so that's an amazing thing, and also really interesting of how she wants to then build a tableau of red carpet things. So I sort of had this blue suit. It's online what I wore, and I was like, oh, is that a bit boring wearing blue? Like just a navy blue. It's a lovely suit, really nice cut. And
great.
And she's like, no, it's about building a picture, about a tableau of like New York, then London for the Getty Images thing, and that's how they think.
Different outfits.
Yeah. So they sent a car to pick. My wife came with me, sent a car, and then you pull up outside the theatre where it was, and you were met. And what surprised me the most was because it's huge, this show. Like it's
in New York, right?
Yeah. And
did they fly you first class?
Sorry?
Did you fly first class?
Well, we actually went out there early because my brother-in-law lives out there, so we used it. Right. The kids were off school, so we actually went out for a week. So
nice.
But yes,
very cool, very cool.
But I didn't because I flew with my family. So they, The moral of the story: kids ruin everything.
Don't let on.
I was shoehorned into a small seat. Why am I sitting here? Why am I getting covered in crisps when I could be up there? Laying down.
Jamie's a big lad as well. For anyone just listening, it's
I'm
squeezed into a little seat.
I do not fit. So anyway, this is what you do as a dad. You make sacrifices. But yeah, we had a lovely time. And so they sent the car, and then what surprised me was there was a fan zone outside the theatre, like cordoned off. And I was told that was going to be the case. And I thought, well, they won't know who I am. You got Matt Smith and Olivia Cook and Emma Darcy. And I get out of the car and they all start screaming my name because they're all such massive fans of the show. They know who you are. You've been announced and,
because you haven't been on the show yet, have you, for them? But they just know from the press, from the pre-press. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I got announced. There was like 4 new characters got announced way back, and it was in Deadline and Variety and all that. So, they just kind of, they know. Either that or someone standing behind them going, "This is Jamie, shout his name." But either way,
which might be the case, you never know the magic, right?
Yeah, that could be the magic. I don't mind that. Yeah. That's fine. I wish that happened when I walked down the street here.
You can always hire someone, Jamie.
Maybe.
Apparently, that's how the Kardashians got started, by hiring fake paparazzi.
No,
so, yeah.
Who did?
The Kardashians. They this is the story: is they would book a table at a restaurant in LA, which they knew they had inside knowledge from the staff of the restaurant about which big celebrities were going to be there, and they'd get a table next to them and then take their own paparazzi, so that all the paparazzi there for the big celebrity would be like, "Who are these girls?"
Wow.
Because there's a bigger fuss going off about them than Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Magic.
I'm genuinely not that bothered. So I'll save my money. You're talking to a man who gave up business class to sit with his kids in economy. So
there you go. Yeah.
So talking a little bit about more like characters and stuff. When you're on a big show like that, do you get scripts from the beginning to the end? Are you able to do like any character artwork? Are you able to know about the evolution of the character, or do you not know that? Are you not told that?
Well, all the scripts are really heavily embargoed, so we have to sign in. There's a thing called Synchronize, which you're probably familiar with.
Yeah. So, like an iPad, isn't it? And then you can just access what you can access. Yeah.
And then on the day, on the shoot day, you'll have your sides in the trailer, but then you have to give them in, and they're really strict. So you can't with you. So you can look up and read the sides and stuff. And I did read all the scripts. They did send me all the scripts, but I know they only do that for certain characters. So outside of a certain number, I don't think you get the full scripts. I think you'll just get your scripts. But because I'm in 6 of the 8 episodes, so I was able. It's impossible just for them to send me my scenes. It just doesn't make any sense. So I was privy to them all, which was pretty spectacular, actually. Pretty
do
amazing.
You film those in order? Do you generally, because there's such massive production for each episode, do you film like episode 1, or do you do blocks, or how does 8 work on House Dragon?
Well, there's 6 different directors. So they all had different episodes. Most of them had 2, I think. And then there was, a couple had 1. I don't know if the maths on that works out, but anyway, there were 6. So, and they're different blocks. So you might be doing, it wasn't particularly chronological. The only thing I would say is so meticulous. Like, we were doing a scene a day, and we would be in at 7 and finish at 7, and we would just be doing one scene. So you
is
can
that
get
easier than doing something like Coronation Street, where you're doing probably 8-10 pages.
I mean, I was jumping from episode such and such to episode. I was going from here to an episode that I hadn't done this scene yet, and then trying to pretend that I had. It was so confusing, and costume changes in the middle of day. I mean, it's like a conveyor belt, and an interesting experience, and very valuable in certain ways. But then when you go on to something like House of the Dragon, but I did probably the better example is what in the middle of Corrie, I did his Dark Materials, and I've been on Corrie for about 4 or 5 months, and I'm starting to get used to the conveyor belt nature of it, and you do start to accept a bit of mediocrity. That's not me bad mouthing the soaps. That's just saying your process as an actor has to speed up, and so you can't necessarily spend as long, and you don't get as many takes. They just get it and done, and we're moving on. And you start to accept that, and you start to live with that. And I think there's some useful tools to be taken out of that, in that you can reach certain points quicker. But then
do you
in the
get
middle
excellent
of that,
cold reading as well? Yeah,
exactly. And your memory muscle is so at its height. I mean, you can remember anything. So, I mean, I'm good at lines anyway. I've got a bit of a photographic memory, but I was like, you're learning chunks of dialogue in no time at all. But then I jumped across and did a week on his Dark Materials, the last season 3. And we went back to filming one scene in a day because they have money and budget and time. And there was a little bit of me that loved it. And there was also a little bit of me going, come on, let's get on with it. Like, let's just move on. And you think, oh, we're done now. They're going to do this shot. There's probably only going to be a wide and then we're done. And then they sort of flip the whole set round and then they're go and rebuild and then you come back in. So, I think everything has its merits. But I would say House of the Dragon, it gave you so much time to find stuff because they shot like they would basically start really far away and come in and in and in and in and in until they're like there. And it just gives you loads of time to find, discover. They were really meticulous with rehearsals. All the directors were very actor centered, technical, but it's great when you get a director on screen that's really into performance. Because sometimes you get directors that are just technical, they don't. And they do a brilliant job, but they leave you to your own devices. And for one, I love notes. I love direction. I love to find new things. I want a director to challenge me. That's my favorite. And all of them on House of the Dragon were like that. So it's a bit of and you're dressed in like armor and the sets are amazing. It's like you're actually living there. It's
what
crazy.
A privilege. So on House of Dragon, were you shooting like single camera where you know what the shot sizes was? Or are you shooting with like multiple cameras so you don't even know?
Yeah, I mean, not like when we did Gran Turismo where there was like 15 cameras, you didn't know where they were.
You gave up. I'll just do whatever.
It was just like a theatre job. You're like, I'm just going to have to know that someone is watching at all times. No, you always knew where the cameras were, but there tended to be 2 at least on each shot. But there were shots in that, and I don't know, haven't seen them yet. But the camera was like here. Like I'm like literally like there. Like, so I came in and it was my clothes and there was 2 cameras and they were there in my face. It was so intimidating, but really
physically there, or there was on a closer lens?
Physically there. So I come in and there's a scene where I walk in and I stand at the table and there were 2 cameras. They were like, we're going to turn around. We're going to go on you, Jamie. So we went off, had a cup of tea, come back, and the cameras were there. On my mark, there were the cameras. And you're like...
And that's that marriage between technical and acting, isn't it? Because I know a lot of actors at the start of their career, they're thinking all about the craft, but then they can't do something like hit a mark, which is just as important in a scene like that.
I think that's one of the most magical things when you hit a mark at the same time as trying to say your line, trying to think about what the character's thinking about, and then not...
That's the job, isn't it?
That's the job, yeah. And I think it's brilliant.
Well, my favourite bit as well, and when what happens, what I feel really excited about and proud of now is that you know yourselves, you start to figure out what's going on. You start to go, probably know what the next shot is, and I know how they're going to do it, and I know why they're doing that. And then when you can solve problems before they become problems.
Yeah.
So you're like, someone's masking me, someone's stepped across. So rather than cutting and having to reset, I know I can just take a little step to the right, and I'm back in shot. And that's going to save a whole load of time. And you can start to see the matrix a little bit. And I find that really exciting. And I think I'm ready to direct. I think I'm ready to have a go at directing. I've done a little bit, but I feel I know enough now to start going, okay, I think, and I'm always asking questions like that now. That's been my development. I'm on set and I'll question the DOP, like, why are you doing that? Or I was on a TV series last year and they started filming and I was like, I don't think this is going to cut. And I sort of stood there and thinking, should I say anything? But I was like, it was bugging me. And in the end, I went, I don't think this is going to cut because you got that's on the wrong side of the room. And they went away and discussed it and come back and they were like, you're right, actually. Yeah, we needed to turn it around. So I was quite proud of myself. And it made me go, I think I'm going to go have a go at directing. I'd like to get involved there.
Good for you. It's difficult to say something sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, so interesting what you just said about the way that you were anticipating what the next things are as well. There was an interview I remember doing with the editor of Homeland, that show. Yeah. And he's written a book called The Editor's Advice for Actors, I think it's called.
How to not end up on the cutting room floor.
How to not end up on the cutting room floor, that's it, yeah. And he was talking about the amount of actors that just concentrate on it when it's, when they're on their shot, when they're speaking. Yeah. And he's saying that in an editing room, I'm looking for reasons to cut away from you. Don't give me the reasons to cut away from you. Give me the reasons to cut to you. And
Queen.
Right. And one of those
in the Magnificent Seven, Yul Brynner tried to get rid of him, didn't he? Do you remember the hat?
Right.
There's a scene in the Magnificent Seven. Watch it. And he said, Steve McQueen's sitting in the back, and he's so watchable, Steve McQueen. Anyway, he's such a magnificent man, and he's sitting there. Yul Brynner's up the front, and McQueen's doing something, and he just keeps upstage. And Brynner's like, "You stop this guy, sit this guy still," and he does. And then McQueen just gets his hat. He just adjusts his hat, puts his hat back on, and you watch that scene. You cannot take your eyes off him. You cannot take your eyes off him. Like he's just exactly that. Make yourself very watchable.
Have you ever had one of those moments in your work that you can reference?
I worked with a guy called Richard Cambridge who was always trying to still focus.
We can see that on Gran Turismo, right? It's streaming everywhere. Yeah,
he's walking. He's
biggest movie of last summer.
He's always got a wheel in his arms, and he's like, he's just constantly.
I did do that a lot, actually. He's joking in part, but I did do that a lot, and that was really interesting because the technicalities on something like that were completely different to something. I'd previously done. Like a soap thing like you had, but that was just single camera. So to go to something with 12 cameras, I think it was at one point, or 15 or whatever it was
crazy.
Like, completely different. Like, have you seen things evolve over time? Have you seen like technical things different? Because you've been working a long time, 20 plus years, you said.
Yeah.
Is it getting easier for actors, or is it a harder technical job to do you think?
I mean, that Gran Turismo was insane. I've never worked like that before. I mean, we had helicopter cameras, drones, and we generally didn't know where the cameras were. I've not had that before or since. I don't know if it's changed necessarily. I mean, I think cameras have got a lot better, and they can do a lot more. I mean, I started out when it was film, and you'd have to check the gate, and you only had a certain amount of stock and all of that sort of stuff. And I miss those old phrases. I miss those old. And you'd have to reload. It wasn't bad. It wasn't
hair in the gate. Oh, we're going to go for one more.
And it wasn't. And I've done it. I've filmed. So for those who don't know, checking the gate is they look for a little magnifying glass. Sometimes you get little hairs on the film, and if you got a hair on the film, you'd have to reshoot the whole thing. And
because it would be like this across the frame.
My first ever job, they built a set. It was a commercial for Dr. Pepper, and there was a physical fence and a physical gate on the set. And every time they said, check the gate, I'm like, what's wrong with this bloody gate? I couldn't work it out. And, that's a funny story, but in a way, that's the importance of knowing your way around a set. Because I was just, and it's my first job, so I didn't want to ask anyone, but I was like, I can't figure out what's wrong with this gate. Because I'm the one going through the gate as well. So it's like,
you just thought they were really safety conscious. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, there's things you pick up on like the martini and stuff like that. Just like, okay, right, we're going to go now. Like,
yeah. Well, talking of martinis, guys, I've got to dip out. I've got to jump on a flight to Tribeca Film Festival.
Should we wrap it up now? Then this we've talked about a lot of things, and it's just really exciting to chat further.
I'm loving it. It's so I'm so. This is what you said to me at the beginning. Like, I'm so passionate about this job, this industry, and it breaks my heart and it fills my heart. It has the ability to do both, and I love it. And coming on here, chatting to you guys about it's no hardship whatsoever for me. I want to spread the word. I want to help people. Like, I wish I could have watched and listened to stuff like this, to help me along the way. I think, you're doing a brilliant job, and it's just such a joy to talk about and fly the flag for what we do. And actors are just such brilliant, unique individuals. We really are. We're a unique breed, and we've got to keep each other alive.
And Jamie, we really appreciate you coming on and giving your breadth of knowledge there, because it is important that we come up as a community, and only, there's not many people out there that understand each other in the way that actors need to understand each other so they can do that. So thank you for being kind and sharing your knowledge. And
thank you.
We look forward to seeing you on that HBO show, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll come back on again, have me on again, and we can debrief on the other side of it. You can tell me you thought I was rubbish and I've ruined the whole franchise. And all that.
When's it out on HBO? When's it out in the UK? Do you have any dates?
UK is out on the 17th, June 17th, so a week on Monday. And the US is out on the 16th, so a week on Sunday. So a week on Sunday, US, week on Monday. You get a fleeting sight of me in episode 1, and then you start seeing a lot more of me from episode 2 onwards. So yeah.
Amazing. And there's Meg signaling the...
That's not Meg's.
That's not Meg.
That's not Meg's.
Yeah, it's my cat.
Yeah.
And I haven't even got a cat. That's the weird thing.
Amazing. Well,
Great.
Thanks very much for everyone out there. And thank you to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie. Really appreciate you being on. Okay, we'll say goodbye.
Absolute pleasure. Keep on playing, you actors. Keep on playing. Enjoy yourselves.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Stick in there.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to the WeAudition Show. Your hosts were Darren Darnborough and me, Richard Cambridge, from WeAudition, the leading professional actors community where you can connect, learn, elevate your career, and always get a self-tape reader on demand. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a WeAudition member, or even if you're not, we would love it if you could please subscribe to this podcast, as it really helps us. And if you have friends who might get value from this episode, please share the link with them. You can find us at weaudition.com or for your iPhone or iPad by searching WeAudition on the App Store. See you next time.